Chapter 82, Detoxication. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Zikiane had begun to hallucinate after being poisoned by the poisonous bees. The second poison of Green Devil Hand made her lose her mind. She scratched holes in her clothes, exposing her snow-white skin. The martial arts that King Yu cultivates is relatively demonic. It specializes in absorbing the genuine chi inside a woman's body to build itself up. Green Devil Hand is a toxin that makes women go crazy with lust in order to make female warriors more easily defeated. This is going to be tough to handle. Zhang Yuochen didn't know how to detoxicate Zikiane. He gave her a red pill to swallow. He knew that it wasn't safe to stay in the forest, so he grabbed Zikiane's arms and carried her on his back to search for a safer place to treat her. Zikiane was a killer and was most likely sent to kill Zhang Yuochen. It would have been completely understandable for him to leave her there to fend for herself. Yet they had fought together before. If Zikiane couldn't kill the 7 warriors, he wasn't powerful enough by himself to fight his way out. "Ah, help me." Zikiane's entire body was limp, as if she was intoxicated. Her beautiful face was rubbing Zhang Yuochen's and she was short of breath. Zhang Yuochen couldn't help but be seduced by her soft hands. She slid her hands inside his clothes and started touching his chest. He rushed inside the woods very quickly with Zikiane on his back. He wanted to get away from where they had just fought. Zikiane kept touching his back. She started kissing his cheeks and left strawberry lipstick marks on his neck. When is she going to stop? He moved her face away from his head in order to stop her from kissing him. Zikiane's hallucinations were getting worse. Boom. She tore off her clothes and wore only her white skin-tight underwear, exposing most of her snow-white skin. She squeezed her plump chest towards Zhang Yuochen's back. She started breathing faster. Her body was boiling hot. She kept rubbing Zhang Yuochen's back and kissing his cheeks, leaving traces of her moist lips. Beep. All of a sudden, a Kalin hawk roared above Zhang Yuochen's head. Zhang Yuochen's facial expression changed as he sensed something dangerous was coming. He stopped running, lay down in a hole, and concealed himself with grass and leaves. He held his breath and looked up towards the sky. He saw that Prince Huoxing was standing on the Kalin hawk's back. He circled in the air as if he was looking for something. Besides Prince Huoxing, there was another man in the sky, riding on a 2-headed griffin dressed in white. They were both looking down at the ground as if they were looking for something. "Help! Help me, please!" Zikiane's sight was blurred. She hugged Zhang Yuochen tightly, breathing heavily, and reached her hands into his clothes again. "Don't move." Zhang Yuochen held her from behind beneath him. He covered her mouth with one hand while he held her arms with the other. Otherwise, Zikiane might yell or squirm around, alerting the 2 people in the air to their position. If someone walked past both of them right now, they would have thought that Zhang Yuochen was doing something terrible to Zikiane. Even though Prince Huoxing stood on the back of the Kalin hawk and circled in the air, he couldn't find any trace of Zhang Yuochen or Zikiane. He had a cold-blooded look on his face and said, "They escaped." Square Commandery has suffered a great loss this time. Both Feng Zi and King Yu were killed by Zhang Yuochen and Zikiane. The hate inside me will never go away if we don't kill them both. Standing on the 2-headed griffin's back, Feng Zilin also had a cold look on his face and said, "The 9th prince from Yunwu Commandery, right? He killed my brother and I'll make sure he will pay." Feng Zilin was Feng Zi's older brother. His cultivation had reached the final state of the Black Realm. He had become the external student of the School of the Martial Market 2 years ago. He was also one of the members of the inspection team in the first round examination of the school, and was responsible for saving the new students should they be in danger. Since they're gone, I should probably head off. If other members of the inspection team realize that I'm with you, they'll report to the presbyters of the school that I'm committing a crime, Feng Zilin said. Prince Huoxing nodded and said, "You're right, you should go, Brother Feng." They are lucky to have escaped this time, but luck won't always be on their side. We will hunt them down next time. Prince Huoxing and Feng Zilin separated and flew away in different directions. I didn't know that he is Feng Zi's brother. I have to find him, so I can withdraw the silver coins from Feng Zi's 2-star VIP card. Zhang Yuochen began to memorize Feng Zilin's features so that he would be able to recognize him in the future. Suddenly, A massive force from Ziqian shook Zhang Yuochen off and pressed him down underneath her. Zhang Yuochen shook his head and moved his finger towards Ziqian's globula. Ziqian's chi lake shivered severely. She closed her eyes and fell limply on top of his body. This truly is a horrible toxin if it is able to turn a cold-blooded killer into a person with such dissipated behavior. You're lucky I saved you. Otherwise, you would have been dead. He helped her stand up and carried her on his back again. After having spent an hour getting 100 kilometers away from the forest, Zhang Yuochen had finally found a relatively safe cave to rest. He put her down on the ground. He saw that her lips had turned purple, and her face was pale. If she didn't get medical help right away, she would undoubtedly die. He helped her to sit up and walked to her back. He sat down cross-legged behind her and activated the genuine qi in his body. The second level of the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean was floating in his mind. The Ming's Jade Heaven, the second level of the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean. With the genuine qi running, the genuine qi inside his body had started to spin gradually and turned jade white. Beep. He thrust both of his palms towards her naked back. The jade white genuine qi had been released from his palms. It went through the mid-heaven meridian on Ziqian's back and entered her body. The Emperor's Heaven, the first level of the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean. The second level of the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean, the Ming's Jade Heaven. The quality of Zhang Yuochen's genuine qi would change after each level of cultivation. Not only was the purification of his genuine qi far better than of other warriors in the same realm, but it also had a certain nature. For example, the second level of the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean allowed warriors to cultivate a pure jade genuine qi which could cleanse unhealthy substances and toxins from the body. In other words, once he had cultivated the second level of the scripture of Emperor Ming's Empyrean, he was able to detoxicate most of the poison in his body, if not all. The pure jade genuine qi in Ziqian's body had activated a large circle of vital energy. It flowed back to Zhang Yuochen's palm and returned to his qi lake. After 36 circulations, the poison inside Ziqian's body had subsided greatly. Her lips soon turned red again and her face looked blushed. Ziqian spat out a mouthful of the toxic black blood. She woke up slowly and felt a sense of coldness from her body. She looked down and discovered that she wasn't wearing any clothes and her body was completely exposed. Both of Zhang Yuochen's palms were still pressing on her back. He exclaimed, "Don't move. Activate the genuine qi inside your body with me now. It's the only way to fully discharge all the poison in your body." Having heard what Zhang Yuochen said, it was hard for her to stay calm. Boom! She exploded a massive force from her body and pushed Zhang Yuochen away. She covered her chest with one hand to protect her privacy while she grabbed the sword with her index and middle finger of the other hand. She pointed the sword towards Zhang Yuochen globula and asked coldly, "What have you done to me?" Zhang Yuochen felt absurd and said, "Stay calm, will you? If I wanted to take advantage of you, I would have done so a long time ago. I didn't do anything to you. Look at my neck, my clothes, and the scratches on my chest. These are all because of you. If I hadn't stopped you right away." "Stop it." She stared at the red marks on his neck and her face turned pink. She bit her lip and took a few steps back. Her body was still weak and she couldn't stand still. She fell to the ground and breathed heavily. Zhang Yuochen stood up and gasped, "I warned you not to mess around in your current condition. You are such a stubborn woman. The poison inside your body hasn't been cleaned yet. They'll take hold again if you don't do as I say." "That's none of your business." Ziqian didn't believe what he had said. She removed a small bottle from her spatial ring, took a detoxification pill out, and swallowed it. Suddenly, she saw Zhang Yuochen walking towards her. He covered her tiny body with a large piece of cloth. Ziqian shivered and looked down at the ground. There was confusion in her eyes. She finally got the courage to ask, "Other than the marks on your neck, nothing happened between us, right?" Zhang Yuochen laughed. "What else could have happened?" "Ha ha." Ziqian's cheeks blushed. Looking at the handsome youngster in front of her, she bit her lip and looked embarrassed. She wanted to run away and hide, because she felt so awkward. "Oh yes, one more thing." Zhang Yuochen took out the fish intestines sword hidden in the sleeve and handed it to Ziqian. "I found it in your clothes. Take it." Ziqian's face suddenly changed. She stared at the fish intestines sword hidden in the sleeve that Zhang Yuochen was holding and said, You already know I'm a killer from the Hades department. He took a closer look at the fish intestines sword in his hand. He nodded and smiled. Who else would use this type of sword except the killers of the Hades department? Zikiane's beautiful eyes stared at Zhang Yuochen and said, since you've discovered that I'm a killer from the Hades department, you must have known that I was sent to kill you. Why did you save my life? Well, I couldn't just sit there and watch you die, could I? He continued, even so, if you did try to kill me, you would have died slowly. There's no way that you'd still be alive standing in front of me. Since you can't kill me and didn't kill me, why couldn't I save you? Zikiane felt ashamed after hearing that. She almost bit through her lip and said, Zhang Yuochen, did anyone ever tell you that you're a jerk?